Good evening and welcome to ATV. I'm Suad Asfour. My guest tonight is Dr.Robyn El-Bardai. Dr.Robyn El-Bardai was born in Sydney, Australia. She moved to California when she was 24 years old, and she got her degree in psychology at the University of California in Berkeley, where she met her Egyptian husband and returned with him to Egypt in 1970. She started teaching at the American University there and then moved to Saudi Arabia and taught elementary school for 2 years. Then she moved back to the Bay Area, and now she has private practice in Oakland. Good evening.
Good evening.
And thank
Nice
you
to
for
meet
coming. Welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you. I will tell you that in English, we say, my name is El-Bardai.
Okay, great.
Then people here understand it.
So
El-Bardai.
obviously that's
And
Egyptian name.
In Egyptian, something like El-Bardai, which I cannot say.
Actually, that's a popular name.
Without the A, because
Yes.
Bardai is popular.
Right.
Yeah.
Dr. Robyn, can you tell us more about your childhood and how you started your career before
Yes.
you got this private
Yes, you know, my
practice?
parents, my mother was actually born in South Africa from Australian parentage, my father from New Zealand, and they migrated to Australia before I was born. I taught school in Australia after going to college there, and I wanted to further my education without having enough money.
Wow.
So I went to Canada because the wages were so much better, and I taught school there.
So you were working and going to school?
I did, and then I came to University of California for linguistics.
Did you have to save up some money, or you were
Every
just
penny I walked instead of taking the bus.
So you actually paid for your own
Absolutely,
education?
yes, it was very difficult.
That's wonderful. And from Berkeley College, you met your husband. Tell us a little bit about Egypt.
Oh, well, I was dying to go there, and it was a very difficult time in Egypt. That was during the war, 1970. All the doors were covered with brick walls.
Yes.
And it was hard to buy even chicken. You had to line up.
Oh, yeah, those were the days.
Yeah. But I fell in love with my family over there.
Okay.
My mother-in-law, who we call Nana, is 100 years old.
Wow.
And I have wonderful family. I've slipped right in there.
So that's about 40 years ago, or 50? You've been
Well,
married to your husband.
49 years I've been married, and we
Wow.
went over there a little before 1970.
Congratulations. And you are still with your husband, and
Absolutely.
you guys looking great.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Excellent. Excellent. So your whole interest in life is to remove obstacle and help people to discover the best in themselves. How do you do that?
Oh, well, in the profession of psychology, you know, people call in because they have difficulties with their life, or they want to form relationships with people. They don't know how to do that. They're lonely, depressed, or anxious. They make a phone call, and it depends. Everybody's different, whatever their problem is. The thing is, I'm not an advice giver. I'm more create a platform for them to explore their own needs. Between the two of us, you know, we work out a relationship.
Okay. And do you specialize with the Middle Eastern people, mostly Arab, or
No,
everybody?
adults and elderly. I don't work with children or families. You have to specialize to a certain extent.
Okay.
Adults and Middle Easterners, I'm very happy to deal with any kind of immigrants, especially Middle Eastern.
So you have dealt with them, and
Oh,
you
yes.
know what they go through.
That's right.
Perfect. So can you tell us a little bit, or some stages they go through, all the Arab immigrants when they first come to United States, or they immigrate their country?
Yeah, well, most people tend to go through stages. I mean, when they first get here, it depends on why they came. No matter whether they came as refugees or for work, they do go through emotional turmoil in the beginning. Maybe they have a love-hate relationship, and they mourn the loss of their life wherever they were. They mourn it, they have to grieve it. Later on, this settles down. But in the first stage, they say 2 years, people really struggle with this change of the culture shock.
The culture shock.
Culture shock.
I remember that.
Yeah, culture shock,
I
yes.
first
I
came.
bet you did.
Yes.
And then the next stage is a long haul, where you really have to go at it, otherwise it won't happen. So you have to put in the work for it. And you know, people really suffer. Some of them suffer. I mean, they were educationally advanced in their country. They come here and they have to be taxi drivers.
Yes. Oh, that's the hard part.
Yeah. It's very difficult, but you know, Middle Easterns are very motivated. I think they're they bless this country with their presence because they come in with high motivation.
And they all get to work. They don't come just
Eventually they may start off at a lower level, but eventually they succeed.
So, like when you said, when they come to this country, and they may start as a taxi driver.
Yeah.
And how does that affect their mental life?
There are people who come with the motivation to live in this country and live a full life. And if they succeed in that, we say that they are assimilated or integrated. The word integration actually is the best category to be in. This means you're bicultural. You can go back to your country, speak that language, fit in with the culture, and you can come back here and you have the best of both. Blend.
Yes.
The word assimilation is often used for those who try to leave their country behind and try to be American, and they miss out a little bit there.
So when is psychological therapy appropriate for the newcomer?
Oh, well, there's a certain category of people who have come in as refugees who may have gone through a lot of trauma. And there are wonderful methods to deal with that. Particularly one I use is called EMDR, but there are other methods to deal with trauma. But I do want to tell you that Americans are not shy about therapy. They boast about it sometimes. They go to a cocktail party and say, "My therapist said." So there's nothing to be ashamed about. It's very private.
But the refugees and the immigrants, if they realize they need to see a therapy or psychologist for any reason, they don't accept it very well. They don't take it easy.
This is true. I mean, yes. You know, for example, my business, which is, you know, north, it's in the Bay Area, north in Oakland. I encourage people to come at no cost to talk about it first, to see if they want to do therapy and if I'm the right person.
Oh.
And also I do sliding scale. A lot of therapists do for people who don't have the money. And also Medicare covers it.
It covers it.
I should tell you that in this area, Santa Clara County Psychological Association, take those letters, .org. You can look up therapists there.
Wow. Okay, so tell us about the parents, what they go through when you know, their children start going through changes, raising them in a different culture, and how sometimes they lapse and the parents go wild, like they don't know what to do.
I mean, there's both pros and cons about coming with children. Excuse me. You know, the children integrate much faster.
Yes,
they learn the language if you don't know the yes. And they can help their parents. On the other hand, the parents are shocked and sometimes don't know what to do about the children going ahead like that. So I think if parents can watch and help them move forward, learn from them, so that later on they won't regret having held them back.
So actually, when they adjust, how with the especially the Arab immigrant, how do they fit in? It's, you know, I think this is the biggest problem, is to feel like they fit in this culture and they blend in and they feel they are part of it. And in the beginning, they go through that feeling, I don't belong here, and that's why some children, they don't do well in school.
Yes.
So what's up with that?
I think to start with, people have different personalities. Some people are anxious, or they're introverts, and it's hard for them to move forward. Also, the culture from which they come, depending on the subculture in their country, they may not have experienced anything from the Western world, or they may have learned English in school. So, and also they come at different ages. Older people have it harder. And the most important thing, their socioeconomic level from which they arose, I mean, it sets them up for a confidence if they have gotten to do well in their country. So I would say that one of the difficulties is they usually come down a peg in terms of finances when they first come. And the children, they're in a poor area. The children are going to school with maybe other children whose parents really are not interested in education. And you know, Arabs very much
They love
motivate.
education.
Yes. And they do well in school. The trouble is the parents get frustrated when the children are not with peers who are motivated. So this is always a difficulty.
So what determines how well they do, immigrants?
You know, I talked about the culture from which they come being similar, even the skin color. If you look closer, I mean, you know, there's discrimination here. If you look, everywhere there is. If you look like the people here, you're more likely to fit in. But also there's something else, and that is, I think you're lucky to land in California.
Oh, yes.
Because you're more likely to have people who are interested in foreigners and immigrants. If you can find a group of people who look as if they're accepting you, reach out and try to make friends with them. Take your neighbors, baklawa.
Oh, yes. Share.
Yes.
And California has friendly people, definitely. Beats
More
anywhere else.
So, more so. Although, you know, it's both ways. You know, I think you have to encounter a lot of negative things too.
What effect did 9/11 and recent terrorist attack had on the Arabs, especially?
I think it was a shock to
Or
their whole nervous
on everybody,
system.
yeah.
On everybody. I mean, you know, you hear on the news the worst of it. But I think if you get to talk to people that I know in this neighborhood, there's been a lot of soul searching on the part of Americans as to, you know, what could have been the root causes. And interesting enough, Arab Americans have also gone through that. I think it's been a growth period for everybody to realize that there is something in that for them to learn about themselves, as it is for Americans to learn about themselves. You know?
But it was hard period as well. They went through a lot of mess.
Terrible
Terrible time.
Terrible, yeah.
Yeah. So how can established American help the immigrant people or the newcomers? What can they do?
I wish they
to
would do more.
support them?
You know, if you just realize how hard it is. You know, I was from Australia when I immigrated. I mean, I look the same, speak the same, except with my accent. There are differences. So for Arabs, it's amazingly different. It's very difficult. So I think if you can reach out to these Arabs that come into your neighborhood. I mean, we just had a Kurdish family. Now, I know that's not Arabic, but the same situation, refugees that came to dinner in our house. And, you know, we playfully discussed differences. I know I shocked them because I told them that I had gone to sleep on the couch and my husband finished the dinner. They were so surprised. So a little playfulness about things like that can be fun.
So when is it necessary for them to see psychiatrists or to start therapy?
To see a psychologist?
And to help them out to become more successful.
You know, everybody in...
I meant psychologists.
Yeah, psychologists. Everybody can go through periods of depression, anxiety, and the relationship difficulties, loneliness. If you can find somebody who can talk to you about that, it might be short-lived, can help you with dealing with those issues. Sometimes the thing which is stopping you from progressing is, as I told you, the trauma that you've been through in making that adjustment. You can talk those things over with a therapist, a psychologist. You know, if you don't have the money for it, Medicare, sliding scale.
Yes. So what do you think of all the number of the Arabs moving, the refugees, and you
Oh,
know
the
what's
ones-
going on right
my
now in the
goodness.
Middle East, Syria, Iraq, all these other countries, and we see tons of people are moving to this country.
Tons.
How
Not
would
enough,
you-
not enough. Tons are not moving here. Tons are moving to Germany. Tons are moving to Europe. But we're not taking in enough. What was that, 85,000 they said that we're going to take in?
Are we?
I mean, this country is made from immigrants, and who could be better than Arab immigrants with their high motivation and the history of success here.
Yes.
So we should be taking in more, but the thing is, when you bring them in, you have to have a support mechanism for helping them. So there should really be a system of mentors from people that are both, you know, wise about the Middle East, Middle Easterners from previous times.
So what kind of changes we're going to see with the new generation that's coming in from Middle East? Is it going to be harder on them, or is it going to be the same like we've been going through in the past 30, 40 years?
I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm asking you. You're the expert.
Well, you know, I think it all depends on what we do as Americans. What attitude, if we step up to the plate, if we welcome them.
Well, because they're going through more trauma right now. And
That's right.
more changes
That's right.
in a hard way.
Yes.
They didn't
That's true.
choose to be immigrant. They just,
If
they
they're
are
refugees,
forced.
it's amazingly difficult.
They are forced.
Yes. And they miss home. They're going to go through that period of time longer, you know, where they are mourning their past, mourning their family.
Okay. What about jobs, the immigrants?
It's depending on their level of education at home. I mean, sometimes they have to take a lower job until they understand where they can look for better jobs.
They will have more challenges, situations.
Very difficult.
It's going to be
It's
way
very
more
difficult. Yes, you don't hear anybody who said they just step right in. They have a struggle, but you know, I have faith in their ability to be resilient.
Mm-hmm.
And as I say, when they really don't have the resilience, therapy will help.
Right. What
Yeah.
are some of the programs out there that can help them when they get themselves
You know,
in a big mess like that?
You know, I really am not in that field of, I know Catholic Charities has been helping a lot in my neighborhood, but that's just one I know. Are there other programs out there? You know, I would have had to research that to tell you the answer to that.
So every county must have something,
Yes. And
so people
yes.
can look and search for it.
Sorry that I cannot answer that because that hasn't been my expertise. All I know is what I can do for
Okay.
refugees and for people in trouble as a personal therapist.
What do you tell the parents, the Arab parents, who living here for a while and now, or they've realized that their children or family member, they need therapy, psychology help? And you know, in their mind, in their country, they don't have therapy. They only talk to the neighbors, and
That's
they
true.
and they share.
Which is good in the communal system. Some of that helps, you know.
Right. So, what advice you give to these parents or
If you're
these
talking
families
about the therapy for children,
to
they're-
help them in all different aspects in life?
Well, you know, children that are immersed in the school system are more likely to react the way the other kids in the classrooms do. A certain number of children go to therapy with problems. A lot of problems, as you said, can be worked out by just talking to the parents or talking to the community, their friends. But if there's serious problems that need help, and then the parents too.
My question is, like, some parents, they think that, oh, we don't need that. You know, in my country, I didn't have that.
Right.
I don't want my kids to go to they think they're crazy or something.
That's right.
If
Yeah.
they do that.
I totally understand that. But as I say here, people are not ashamed of therapy. And it's actually, it is like sitting down with a friend. When you enter the room with a therapist, you are one-on-one in a private setting. You can tell that therapist what you like, and the therapist is trained to deal with that.
Yes.
So it is enormously helpful. I've worked with Vietnamese, Chinese, you know, all the different countries that have these problems. Middle Easterners also. Everybody's problem is different.
And then we also get the single parents who are, like, if one of the parents die and the mom has to raise the kids. Now that's a big mess on her. You know,
Worse here than
it's
it
very
is overseas.
challenging.
Worse, isn't it, than over there, because there's no aunts and uncles hang around to help out. Babysitters are so expensive, very difficult.
Do you deal with people like that? Do you go through some experience with people like that?
Personally, I don't work with families and children. I work with adults. I have worked with adults who are single men with children at home. I've worked with that population. But it's a little bit different because they weren't Arab. They didn't have the community. I think use that community to help you. Join the clubs, the Arabic, the Egyptian club, whatever groups you have, and connect with the neighbors. Sometimes there's a sharing arrangement of childcare.
So do you see what you do? You're trying to help people to live better life and
Absolutely.
to have. Do you see what you're doing is working all the time, or do you have yourself a challenging time where you're trying and these people are not accepting the new system or your help?
When you come across resistance like that, it's actually grist for the mill. It's a good thing to deal with it and talk about it. I'm very open to the person criticizing. They're not getting what they want. We talk about what they need. And in that conversation, a very close bond arises where you open up the floor for all kinds of things to surface. So a therapist has to always be aware of that. You're not there to dispense information, diagnose what's wrong. It's in that interpersonal relationship that a lot of recovery and healing happens.
Yeah, so after the 5 stages they go through, we talked about the stages the immigrant people go through. Then what happens? How do they excel? Do you see a lot of people excel in life and they achieve higher education and they achieve their goals, or do they still struggle?
I mean, it may be somebody realizes, well, I can do better than this. I can go back to college. This wonderful system of junior college here, it's amazing. And you can become anything at any age, which you really can't do
That's what I like
overseas.
about this country.
Isn't that wonderful?
You can go back to school anytime.
It's wonderful. And, the junior colleges are really great accepting people of any age.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were teaching in Egypt. You
I
taught
did
for
teach,
2
yes.
years?
I did work in Egypt and in Saudi Arabia.
So what did you like the most about teaching in the Middle East countries?
I just loved the whole country, not just the teaching. I mean, I loved everything about it. It's so cosmopolitan. I never knew that. There are people there from so many nations. They have embassies probably more than London, or about the same as London and America.
Wow.
They have people from everywhere. I love that international flavor. And just the age of it. Walking down the street and seeing buildings that were built before America was discovered by the Europeans.
And was there a difference between Saudi Arabia and Egypt?
Oh, of course, yes.
What's the difference?
Well, I didn't see. I found Egypt was absolutely amazing, and everywhere you went, Cairo, Alexandria, in the countryside, it was so diverse. In Saudi Arabia, I was more confined. I couldn't drive, as you know. I taught in the international school, which I had to walk to every day because I couldn't take the car and drive there. And this population I had were all foreigners. I loved it, but I didn't have any Arab, except one from Lebanon. Mostly they were Europeans and Americans, so I didn't see it. Didn't see Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. So, but you are an international woman. You were born in Australia. You lived in Egypt,
Canada,
a couple of years in
Germany.
Saudi Arabia, Germany, Canada. Now with the Bay Area. I'm sure you like it here the most.
No. I mean, I love it here, but every place I've been in, I just keep wishing I was in all of them at once. We can't do that.
Okay, so you've been married for 49 years.
Yes.
Now we need to know the secret for the marriage success.
secret for marriage success. My husband should be in on this conversation.
Oh yeah, we'll get him some other time.
I think sometimes you just have to tolerate differences. And
I mean, he's Egyptian. He was born in Middle East, and you were born. You know what I'm saying? It's a
Suad,
huge.
we both changed. You know, we are not the same people when we got married.
Really.
So, my husband is more accepting of me, and I'm more accepting of him in our, not only our cultures, but our personalities.
So you kept your mind open for new changes and new culture changes everywhere you lived.
I think so.
And you're accepting new challenges in life, and you had your heart open.
Absolutely. This
Okay, so
total openness. You know, I practice practice meditation, where
that's really good.
And you can have forms that are shorter. You don't have to sit in a mountain for 5 years.
We need final advice for the parents, for
Final
the immigrants.
Open your eyes and heart to America. It's all here for you.
It's all here.
It's all
and
here
it's
for
all
you.
open. And I want to thank you so much for coming, and good luck on your practice in Oakland.
Thank you.
Can you tell us the location of your office?
Pill Hill, on 30th Street in Oakland.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So that's a nice area.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming.
Wonderful
I
to meet you.
appreciate all your advices.
Thank you.
And I wish you the best and good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching, and have a nice evening. Good night.